So we have two guests today from RefMasters, which is a web platform focused on the phone connection that's focused on training basketball officials, and we are all about helping basketball officials get better here at A Betterr Official. And one of the founders of that is James Williams, NBA official for many years, 14. And James is joining us today from Chicago. James, how are you today?
Hey, good morning, Greg. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. Looking forward to Five Play Friday with you guys, learning a few things, talking shop, as we say. So, really excited about this opportunity. Thanks for having me.
Wow. Super excited to have you, James. And in addition, we've got the head of the replay center for the NBA, official for many, many years, Kane Fitzgerald, joining us from New Jersey. How are you, Kane?
I'm good, Greg. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to spend the morning with you guys and break down some film and see if we can get a little bit better together. So,
If we can get better, even just a little, that's always a good thing. Tremendous. All right. So, how about we get a brief rundown of the RefMasters platform and what's going on there, and what do you guys do, and what are the exciting things for people to be interested in?
Yeah, so Kane and I, along with our CEO and co-founder, Sona Tiwari, and a gentleman by the name of Jason Stewart, we are the co-founders of RefMasters, and it's an app-based platform that essentially allows referees of all sports, all levels, to connect on their smart devices, where they can learn, where they can develop new friendships with folks across the country. We have a really good thing that we're building called RefMasters University. I can't tell you how many times in my career people ask me, so, how did you become a ref? Did you go to school for that? Technically, there is no school, but we are creating RefMasters University, where there's monthly things going on. We just had a great webinar the other day, last week or two, about communication with coaches. And we were able to have some coaches from the Division I level, Notre Dame, George Mason, and the Division II level come on and talk to referees about how to get better at communicating with coaches. So we're doing stuff like that, how to watch film, how to get better by watching yourself. It's kind of what you're doing here, Greg, with Five Play Friday. There's just a lot that we're doing to help officials to have one safe place that's designed by referees for referees. And it's right there on your phone. There's always new content, new plays, new situations. So it's a great way, we think, for people to learn. It's a great way to bring officiating into the 21st century. And we're super excited about what we're building.
Awesome. Awesome. Tremendous. So there are links on the screen. The QR code will take you to refmasters.com, and the other QR code that'll show in just a second will take you to the Substack, where there's articles and so forth. And I know you guys have events where you bring people in, and they can be a great learning experience. So those links are there. I will put a link in the show notes, obviously, of the final product, not the live stream currently. All right. Tremendous. All right. Let's go here, and I'll do that. And I'll say we're going to look at our very first play. Give me just a second. Make sure everything's cooking.
While you're doing that, Greg, I'm going to give us a quick plug.
Hold on.
There we go.
Go ahead.
No, the app is free. Download on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It's a free app, easy to download. We're updating it all the time. We've got some great updates coming to it that we're excited about. So I did mention that it is a free app. It doesn't cost you anything. So whether you have a Droid or an iPhone, it's on both stores right now. So feel free to download it.
Okay. And that link is available at the website as well to go to the. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Okay. All right. I want this. Let's try this. So for my live stream viewers, doing things a little bit differently. I'm going to take out the transitions, do more things in editing, as opposed to trying to make it all happen live, so I can get more cohesion in the show. But let's see what we have today, and let's look today at our very first play. All right, drive to the basket, foul is ruled. We've got issues with the spot of the foul, how the officials handle it. Dead ball officiating comes into focus on this play. Gentlemen, what are your first thoughts when you think about officiating on this play? Give me just a second. I want to go to here. And then I want to go to here. That's my one. So I think we have some great habits at the spot of the foul by the calling official, right? We've got tension in the game, potentially players on the floor, a crowd of players around them. But we have some action off ball during this dead ball scenario there and so forth. What do you think when you look at a play like this?
Dead ball, dead ball, dead ball. You have to remain vigilant, especially if you know and feel that there's things starting to escalate, right? So I think the lead does a great job initially and stays, and then you can tell Trail has a feeling here. So this is great officiating by the Trail here. He comes in, some type of communication with the lead here, and he's staying with the players. I would even say that the lead may hesitate here a little bit longer to make sure and survey this whole scene before turning his head and walking away. Boom, because he's already kind of missed that right there. But thankfully, the Trail rotating down is picking this up and addressing this unsportsmanlike act right there. And slot can be involved as well. Slot is, or center is going to be standing there and having the big picture view. So you can stay there, you can stay in that position and make sure that you are kind of like in the catbird seat there and make sure we don't miss anything as a crew. So I think this is handled well. James, what else are you seeing here?
We don't have audio, but I know a really good tool to use that's in our toolbox is your voice. You'll be amazed at how important, impactful your voice is. So when you have a play like this, again, and let me also add, like Kane just mentioned, this play doesn't happen in a vacuum. This play did not come out of nowhere. We are at 37-42, third quarter. Something has happened, precipitated this, that caused this. And the more reps we get, as Kane mentioned, the more we start to feel this in our game. And the more we feel that this is starting to boil up, we become even more vigilant. But this is a great place here. If you're the lead, it's a foul at the rim. You got bodies on the floor. This is when I would say, oh, all right, guys, nice play. Good hard basketball. That's what we're talking about here. Everybody all right? These are the things I am saying. We got 2 shots. I'm just trying to make sure everybody is, if somebody's getting ready to blow their top, hopefully they don't blow their top. But your voice is a good way to kind of bring the temperature down.
Hey, James, I just actually picked up on something else here. Let's watch in front of the Trail here. So right here to the left of your Trail, this is where it starts. Boom, right there.
A little bump there. Yep, right there.
Right, and now watch.
It starts right there.
It's always something
behind him.
Yeah. There's always something that we miss. So obviously this matchup is the matchup that we want to stay vigilant on, and we get the second act, which is great. We have to address what we see, but there is something to be said there about the trail kind of missing that. I wonder if we go back and look at the play one more time. It's possible that trail's just digging in a little bit too much with the action, but it's tough because you got bodies all over the floor, and bang, we missed that little bump.
There it is. Yeah, there it is. I
Go ahead,
remember
James.
early in my career, it was Tony Brothers actually. We were at a game and he told me I gave a technical it was actually Blake Griffin and you know, we'd gone one way and we'd come down on the other way and then here comes Blake Griffin running like a you know, bat out of you know what, and he just bumps this guy. And I'm like, boom, technical foul. It's up on Blake Griffin. And a great learning lesson for me was that in the locker room, Tony Brothers, we hadn't even seen the play yet. He goes, people don't react like that unless something happened to them first. So sure enough, we went back and looked at it. On the other end, the guy gave him a little shot, and he was like, I'm not letting this shot go. And so we get the second act. So people don't ever react just out of the blue. So it's usually the second act that we always get. We miss that first act. So if trail can find a way here, because if we can, you know, lead has the bodies on the floor. Center doesn't have anything. This is really when we have to become alive as officials when the ball is dead. And what that means is you're just really scanning the floor. You're scanning the floor. You're looking for potential problems. That's what you're looking for. So that we are in help mode. Usually when we blow the whistle, our natural inclination is to just drop our focus or drop our head, drop our concentration. But that's really when things happen in games, is when that ball is dead. When it's live and they're playing. But when that ball is dead, that gives them opportunities to settle scores, if you will. So if you are not the calling official, you really want to become alive. You want to open your field of vision. You want to head on a swivel, and you want to scan and look for potential problems.
Yeah, I agree. For me, the engagement, the lack of engagement by the center is a key part of the play, right? Mm-hmm. We're in great shape until the ball becomes dead, and then it becomes relaxed. And like you've suggested, obviously there's things that have happened in this game, right? That jumps off. It's not, these players aren't reacting like this, just like, well, let's start acting like this now.
Right.
So we want to have heightened awareness there.
Yeah. And I think one more point here is, you know, listen to what's being said there, because I'm sure that players, after being given the technical foul, is letting that official know that, hey, I got bumped first. That's why I did what I did. So now you take that information, you process it, and you really lock in moving forward. There's nothing you can do. You can't go back. You know, we're especially at that level. We're not even in the pro level. We're not, for a technical foul, we're not going to replay to go back to that unless it's some type of flagrant. You could see what precipitated it. But for this, you just have to take that information and make sure you stay vigilant moving forward, and make sure he doesn't get away with that again. So,
all right, fantastic. Hey, before we move on, we have to recognize that the crew from Macedonia is in the house.
Wow,
that's tremendous.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Chris Janish, supplier of plays from South Darakona. Great to see you, Chris. We do have a play of yours coming up.
James and I many nights in Sioux Falls.
Spent a lot of cold nights in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Very familiar.
So you guys were both G League same time?
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are you're connected going way back.
We worked Division II together, JUCO, mid-major, Division I. We started our college stuff together and worked all the way up to the pros.
Wow. Well, early on, did you ever share that dream with one another? It's like, this is where I'm going. This is where how I want to get there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's part of, like, I would assume, like a player, you just, you motivate and push each other. And I think one of the things we talk about at RefMasters all the time is it's refereeing is it's really hard. This is not an easy avocation, right? And one of the things that we were fortunate enough to have is we had a support system. We had each other. So when you went through those valleys, you had someone there to pick you up, and that's the importance of community. And that's one of the things that's really important to Ref Masters is we want to encourage people that when you're going through something, listen, number one, if you're going to throw the stripes on, there's always going to be moments where you go through something. You just simply cannot avoid that. But more importantly, we want you to know that there's a community who's there. We've all been through it. We can support one another, lift each other's up, so that people stick with it. On average, now new officials they're out after 2 or 3 years because they just can't take it. We hope that with this sense of community, with this sense of being able to share shared experiences with one another, that people will stick with it because it's a great avocation.
I'm a fan. Awesome. Okay, let's take a look now at our next play. That's the wrong play. Let's go back. Go there. Okay, hold on.
While we're still on that play, if one thing that you could notice from trail to lead, they're not running with their head turned over the shoulder and kind of missing that transition on that play there. One other little nugget.
They have their head down.
Yeah, in the turn and the transition, the ball is kind of running right up their back there, and boop, head's looking forward. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to do your best to turn and looking over your shoulder as you're going up the floor, and then you'll have back and knee problems later. But that's part of refereeing.
Yeah. Well, I will always defend the high school officials in that the environments we work in sometimes are really difficult on the table side or the moving as new lead.
Yeah.
I worked over the weekend on a court where it was ridiculous. Players' knees are out onto the court. Yeah. It could be a challenge. All right. I think I'm ready to go. Let's go on now to our next play.
Oh, yeah. This is good.
Let's do it one more time.
Very good. This is a great play. So, just a quick thing to start is the center. Anytime there's two defenders in the backcourt, I'd like to see them not really get past that front the midcourt line there. So just to assist, it's a little minute thing, but it's a good habit to get into. If you have two defenders in the backcourt, make sure you don't get ahead of the play. Second of all, the trail's in great position. They're trailing the ball handler. They can see what's coming next, and because of that trail sees that screen is legal. They're there in time, and he doesn't react or guess to the force of the play. Sometimes if you get ahead of the ball, you're going to miss that screen coming. You're not going to referee it long enough, and then that type of collision could surprise you, and you end up giving in to the force of the play and calling an offensive foul here. In reality, the screener is legal. They give him time and distance, and that defender just isn't aware. And I think it's female. Their teammate doesn't really call the screen out and help them. So now let's move on to the good stuff. So I love that the official reacts to this, right? We definitely can't ignore this type of action from the coach. But we have to take this to the next level here. This coach really crosses the line. Anytime a coach comes onto the floor and confronts you in an aggressive manner and makes contact, That's an ejection. And
Yeah.
you learn from this when you make you don't quite meet the moment here. You learn from that, kind of get the intestinal fortitude to address it appropriately the next time, and and then you have to make sure you follow through with all the after game stuff is so important with this. And I'm sure Greg can kind of expound on what needs to be done post game, any type of report that needs to be made. Gathering the play and the information and the video, and then writing up a report and putting it into the appropriate people for review. So it's important.
Yeah. So let me get this. Yeah, so at the high school level here, it's going to be different all over the country. But at the high school level here, we would definitely have a post game report. And we want all the details, and it's not an emotional creation of the document. It's just strictly the facts. There was a play in the backcourt. The coach reacted by doing this, this, and this. Ultimately, did this physical contact in an aggressive fashion, and I deemed that to be a flagrant technical foul and the resulting ejection. The coach, etc. Just factual. This is what was going on the play.
Right.
One thing I would add to this, Greg, and first of all, Kane broke it down exceptionally well, is that, when technicals are usually, I always hear people say, well, technicals are just another foul. At all my years of officiating, I've never bought into that. But that's just me. I'm just talking about my own personal beliefs. Technicals usually mean they've gone beyond just a normal foul, right? And so when this coach comes out onto this floor in a heated manner in which he does, and then he bumps the official, if you can pause it right there.
Hold on.
So he has, one of the things we have to do when we're getting ready to call a technical, like once he bumps me, I know it's game over for this coach. But now I'm going to give you a little bit more, is as an official, now I'm going to find the ball. He's done. I'm not going to save him, or, if it were a player, she'd be done. But I'm going to find the ball and make sure it hasn't been deflected, or, even just make sure somebody has possession of the ball. And then I am going to issue that technical foul once I have made sure the ball's not loose or anything like that, because that changes the dynamics potentially of what we do going forward, potentially. So just try to make it a habit of, if you know you're going to give someone a technical foul, find the ball first. Know where that ball is, and then issue your technical foul.
That's excellent stuff, James. Real high level stuff. And if I could add to one more piece that really pulls it all together, is that no one's watching this, right? Everyone's watching the ball, fans, the players, the other coach. So when you know you're going to have an event like this, that's a very meaningful event in the game, you want to give yourself some time before you so you're going to blow your whistle, and you might want to give it a couple. So bup, and you give a little bit more time before you immediately give the technical foul signal, because you want all the attention to come to you first, so that when you do this, no one misses it. You don't want to have to explain this afterwards. You want everyone to see that you have just given a technical foul and that you have ejected the coach. You want to do it in a calm manner, a composed manner. If you know which vom or which door that the coach is, their locker room, great point. That way the coach say, "Well, I'm going over here," and it just gives them a little fuel to the fire. But that's advanced stuff. It's something that you can start paying attention to during pregame. Find out which tunnel they're coming from. But make sure you give yourself a little space and time before you do the act, so everyone can see it when you do it.
Love it.
Very good.
Love it. It's just not acceptable. That's really a key takeaway here. Is this, we address behavior and bad behavior by participants in the game, including the coaches. And it doesn't have to be an emotional experience, but we have to, you know, protect the integrity of the game by addressing things appropriately. So
Yeah, whether this play is called right or wrong, let's say it wasn't. First of all, he does get the play right, but let's say it was a moving screen and we missed it.
yeah, exactly.
Under no circumstances, even if I miss this play and you do this, you are still ejected. There is simply no place for this in the game.
Yeah. And point of emphasis this year for National Federation of High School is bench decorum, and obviously coach behavior is a key part of that. All right.
Coaches are like coaches are like sharks. They can smell blood in the water, and they kind of know the one. Coaches will know. And this was spoken on our webinar 2 weeks ago on RefMasters. We had, Vanessa Blair Lewis, who's the women's head coach at George Mason, and she gave some really good nuggets about the mental mind games that she plays with officials. It was so good. They know at all levels, high school up to the NBA. Trust me when I tell you, these coaches know the referees that handle business and the ones that don't necessarily handle business. And the ones that handle business, when they're on the game, they approach them differently. They really do. And it doesn't mean you're arrogant and you're cocky and you're nasty to people. They just know they know you're fair, but they also know you're firm. And that becomes more of a, there becomes a mutual respect on that floor. When they don't think you're firm, it's game on. And so you don't want to be the official who, everybody, as soon as they look at you wrong, is ejected. But you don't want to be the official either where someone does something like this and you don't address it. You have to find that balance of where you as a referee are going to be. And it's about firmness, fairness, try to thread that needle to the best of your ability.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, with new officials, and we're going to have a great big influx of new officials in the coming years. This is a situation that the rules book, prepares you for in terms of penalties, but do you know that this is the correct thing to do in this situation? Do you have permission? Do you have an understanding, et cetera, and how to become an excellent communicator with coaches and awareness of what the coaches are saying and how they're treating you, et cetera? These are things that does take experience. But it helps to know, if you're a young official, this is a hard line. There's just no room in the game for this behavior.
That's right. Scott Foster, who's one of the best officials we have on staff, he has a great saying when he talks to younger officials on our staff who are trying to find their way in a very competitive league. He's like, when you have these situations similar to, like, this is not that type of thing, but when you have a situation where you need to discipline the game or figure out you need to do something, his response is always err on the side of strength. Keyword, there's two keywords: error and strength. You might err. You might, your supervisor, your assigner might afterwards come back to you and say, James, maybe not a technical here because of X, Y, Z. And so now I learn how to calibrate what I do on the floor. But Scott Foster's training is always err on the side of strength. You can always pull people back. You can pull them back a little bit to try to get them to say, hey, he just said your mom was a so-and-so and you didn't do anything. To try to amp people up is a lot harder than to pull them back. So if you're going to err, and we all err, it's part of life, err on the side of strength.
That is fantastic advice, because it's going to create habits and fundamentals in the future that it's easy to make that, okay, I can tone that down, I can be more this, more that, et cetera. But if you're in the opposite and you've set I just sort of let things happen because I'm not sure what to do, then it's going to be difficult to come out of that, to overcome the obstacles we're creating for ourselves there. That is fantastic
Exactly right,
advice. All right. I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. Give me 1 second here. Check something out. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Move on. Next, now, let's look at our next play.
Good play. Good play.
All right. Let's go there and go there.
So James, you wanna grab this one? Talk about the
Oh,
lead
no.
here.
Oh,
Okay. Awesome.
yeah,
So
go ahead.
thanks. So let's focus in on the slow mo replay, Greg, if you would, and
All right.
let's look at the lead's head position as he's rotating over. Okay. So when you're rotating over, first of all, it does a good job with finding a reason to rotate. That ball has crossed the weak side lane line and it come to a pause. So now we want to get over as lead and create our strong side ball side, if that makes sense. So as you're doing that, you want to be searching your primary for defenders that are going to hurt you on this play. Once that drive initiates, you got to get off the ball. You have to find the secondary defender that's going to come over and be the help defense, right? And if you can see the lead's head, the entire rotation, he's looking out at the ball. He's still looking at the ball right here. The crash is about to happen. Finally, he gets to the defender very, very late and doesn't react because he doesn't know. The longer you see the defender, the easier the decision becomes. So Slot, on the other hand, or center on the other hand, does a great job of staying with this drive, not bailing out and walking out to the new trail position too early, and is able to see the big picture and watch that help defender come over late. The defender doesn't beat the offensive player to the spot, and the blocking foul is correctly called. So we have really great job here by the center official, and we could improve ourselves and lead by making sure that we get our eyes in the right location, searching our primary, and trying to find moving defenders. So one of the things we like to talk about on the secondary defenders, usually first to move is going to be the help defender. So when you're looking in your primary, you want to look for the player first to move, okay? And you'll definitely see that defender late, and that call will be way easier from lead.
You can pause it right there, Greg. Right there, if you
Hey,
can pause it.
hold on.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Right. Yeah. Right now, she's already in help mode.
Yeah.
She knows her responsibility. Her head is on a swivel. She's responsible for her the shooter in the corner there, but her head's on a swivel on that ball in case her teammate gets beat, and she's going to rotate over. In the NBA, that is Kyle Lowry. That is, Montrezl Harrell. Their head is on a swivel. They're already in help mode. And so let me give people an example. If everybody watches the NFL, and as soon as an offense comes off the field, the quarterbacks go and they go to the table, and the first thing they do is they get that tablet. They are watching film. They are figuring out what they need to adjust. They're looking at what the defense is doing. Did they make the right reads? Refereeing is about going through progressions, just like a quarterback. Our eyes should go through progressions, looking for defenders that can hurt us, like Kane said. And so most of the times when officials are looking at a play like this, all they're saying is this a block or is it a charge? What we're trying to do at RefMasters is we're trying to take it way beyond is the play right or wrong. We're trying to teach you how to get the plays. We're trying to teach you how to see this play before it happens. It's already happening with that young lady. She was already in help mode, and as soon as she saw the dribbler beat her off the dribble, she was already on the move. But the lead's eyes never got to her because he's ball watching. And so that is, and that, listen, it's all about just trusting the system. The ball here is covered by the center official. So I have to trust that he has anything on the ball. If a foul happens there, he's going to get it. I have to now find who is coming, as Kane mentioned. It's usually the first to move. There's only one option here. And certainly she comes and she's late. So we don't just talk about the legality of the play. What's really, really important is, are we going through our progressions properly?
Yeah, and it's either a yes or no, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's say there wasn't a block charge. The player slips at the last minute, just avoids or whatever. We could still judge whether we had done the things that we needed to do. I would say we need to rotate a little further on this play. I don't love officiating from that spot, but
no.
Have we put ourselves in a position where we have a view on what we need to view? The lead does do a great position of, opening their body to the floor. They just don't follow through by hitting a couple other marks, I think.
Yeah, he turns to, as he rotates, we want to do the turn when we get to the spot, which means in this particular case, like the A there on the floor. I want to continue to be moving this way, and when I get to that A, that's when I'm going to turn. And that, if this were like a half court set where there's post play or something, that turn when I get to where I'm going tells my partners I have now fully accepted the ball. I don't want to turn and then back into the position, which is what he's kind of doing here. He turns at the H and starts backing into it. He wants to continue walking till he gets to about that A, make his turn, and now he has accepted the play.
Yeah, that's a big communication piece to your crew. Your body language is your crew's working off your body language. That's a great point, James, about when to turn, so the new trail knows that you're now in position, can accept the play. Very good.
All right. Hey, let's see what's going on in the chat. Hey, Randy Wilson from Chicagoland. Yeah, I agree. The other thing we notice about the play is the time and score. This was a 25-point game in the fourth period. And we absolutely don't want to miss anything on white. In this scenario, I think the coach in this situation was already frustrated, shall we say, for the visitors. So we don't want to miss plays like that.
Greg, is White up? White's up 25.
Yeah.
Is that what's okay? Can I make a point here?
Yes.
Because a lot of times we do think that's game management, right? If this play is clearly a block, but the point I want to make is if that young lady rotated over, and it is clear, it is absolutely clear, she beats her to the spot, she gets in her path, she takes the contact. They can be up 25 with 20 seconds to go. That's an offensive foul.
Yeah.
We cannot, based off of the score and time, make things up when plays are black and white. Just can't do it. We have to reward people when they do the right things. So we think a lot of times as young officials, oh, this is a great decision. They were down 25 and it was a clear run over. Like if you asked 100 referees, it would be 100-0. This is an offensive foul. That is not the time for a block. What we're talking about in these situations is when the play is gray. When, man, it's 50-50. You put that play up, 50 said block, 50 said charge. Now you got options.
Yeah.
And now you want to manage the game based off of what's been going on and all of those things. But I just want to really hammer home the point. that when plays are clear, black and white, obvious, we have to call it for what it is. That is not the time to say I'm managing this game. That's not what we're doing out there.
It's really good.
I'd also say this can't be a no call in this situation.
No.
I think.
No.
Right.
Correct.
We can't just say, oh, the game, we're at this point of the game, etc. This play needs a call, and we have to have that mindset as well.
Absolutely. You're building your reputation with every decision that you make. You're going to see these same coaches, players, and as you continue on with your officiating, and if you call something that's clearly, one way, and you call it the other way just because time and score, they're going to think that you don't know what you're doing. So when it's black and white, just like James says, you have to call it. It is what it is, and then the best officials know what to do with the gray plays. So, and you learn that as you go
with experience. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Sadiq is in the house. You guys, James and Kane, do you recognize any of these people in the chat? Any of these miscreants?
Oh, see, I'm a facial person.
We got a great question here. A couple of questions about the T principle. So I guess it's starting to get out there a little bit. All right. I can do that real quick. So
this is for a block charge plays.
Yeah. So if you can think of, it helps me think of path for block charge play. So if you can think of the offensive player as the vertical T, vertical part of the capital T, right? That's their path. So whatever path that offensive player is on, the defender has to beat that offensive player to the spot and get perpendicular to that path prior to contact. So what ends up looking like when the defender is in a legal position, they create the top of the T, the top of the capital T, right? If they get there and they can't quite get to the spot and they're on a 45, they didn't complete the T. So the T principle is beat them to the spot, get perpendicular to the path, finishing the top of the T, and now they're in a legal guarding position. And if it's a shooter, they obviously have to get there prior to upward motion. But that's the T principle in a nutshell. I think it's a great visual for me to help me with block charge plays, and
it certainly makes things a lot easier.
Yes,
to adopt that. I mean, because then it's like
we should have trademarked it.
Okay, but Mike has the point, is that NFHS does not say this is how these plays need to be officiated, sort of the rules book for NFHS. And so there's always going to be pushback. It's difficult to find consistency, in my mind, at the NFHS level, given, all of the variables.
He says that the head and shoulder requirement burden on the ball handler. What can you, maybe Greg or Mike, expound on that, please? The head and shoulders requirement burden on the ball handler. What does that mean?
Well, if the ball handler gets head and shoulders past, all liability lies with the defender. But if the ball handler gets head and shoulders past, then our team principle is going to support that.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That's the principle.
Yeah, it actually works well with that. If the head and shoulders are by, that they're on a 45, they haven't beaten into the spot and gotten perpendicular there. So.
Tom says mechanics here: foul, score the goal, block, or foul, block, score the goal. What did our calling official do? What combination? In this instance, I am going to rule on the foul first. Right, that is a block, and we are going to score the goal.
Well done.
That's well done.
We did that right.
Yeah, that's well done. Well, there's
no confusion, right? Of course, with our signal, with our mechanics, and with our signals, more importantly, what we want is clear communication of what happened on the play. If it's slightly out of sequence based on a prescribed thing in the manual, etc., for me, we're always overridden by clarity, right? We have a clear and concise ruling on the play without question. So Mike says, yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'm not understanding, but even let me see about another thing. There's another part of this. You see the Euro move a lot, right? And now it's people in college are doing it now, where they Euro around defenders. To Kane's point on the T principle, if the defender gets to the spot, and if I beat you as the dribbler to the spot, I'm entitled to my space. And even if you try to Euro around me, you get in the contacts on the side, my shoulder here. You try to Euro around me and you go here, and we both fall, and it's significant contact, too much to ignore. That is still an offensive foul. It is not a block, because in order to become a block, the defender would have to reestablish a new position, or at least be trying to do that. Like, oh man, this dribbler is so athletic, they're going to go around me. I know they're going to miss me. So now let me reposition myself. That's too late. That's late movement. That's a block. But if I stay in my position, I don't move, and you try to go around me, but you can't, and you still contact me, and they're significant enough, even though it's no longer in the torso or in the chest, you can't ask the defender to do anything else. Like, right. if the defender say, what did I do wrong? There's really no answer for that. They did absolutely nothing wrong. They did their job. They beat the dribbler to the spot. They didn't move. They stayed there. They firmed up. They took the contact. That onus now becomes on the dribbler, not the defender. So I would say not to overcomplicate it. If they beat them to the spot, they take the contact, offensive foul.
Yeah. It's always good not to complicate it.
Yeah,
I think you're going to hurt yourself. Yeah.
The same thing here as far as I see the comment about that has to be by the torso. And really, you're not going to be able to get into that position and with the offensive player being past your torso. So most of the time when that defender is getting beat, they're either getting by, we say head and shoulders by, and you're talking about the offensive player has to get by the defender's torso. So it makes sense. I understand what you're saying. The language is a little bit different there, so it's just kind of semantics.
Yeah. All right, let me move on. Hey, first of all, gents, so how much time do you have, right? If we went another 20 minutes or so, sure. Would that work?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next play. This is a good one. Lots going on. Let's take a look.
Rebound. 5-point advantage for the Braves. Turner. And that ball knocked away, another steal for Harvard Westlake. And we're going to get a technical foul called. A technical foul is going to be called against Christian Ori here before Harvard Westlake had a chance to get into transition.
Now Dunlap did a great job again with the deflection, which led to the steal. And then I didn't see it live, so I was following the basketball, but it looked like Turner and Ori got hung up together on the floor.
Yep, maybe a trip in the backcourt here. We'll see what happened here on the back. Okay, there's the turnover. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So Turner's the one who should have the infraction called against him.
So certainly, Turner, you hope there was no ill intent there, that he was trying to get back on.
So ultimately, they stay with the ruling for a technical foul. The 2 free throws are attempted by somebody other than the player who was fouled. This would be incorrect by the high school rules. But lots going on in this play.
Yeah, it would also be incorrect for a professional game as well. When you have physical contact, you're not going to go with a technical foul. It has to be a personal foul, which is common foul or you can review it and upgrade it to a flagrant penalty 1 or flagrant penalty 2. From first glance here, it looks like he just tried to step on him on purpose. So we would definitely, obviously, call a foul, go review it, and if the crew felt that was done on purpose, that would be upgraded to flagrant foul penalty 2, and he would be ejected. The offended player needs to shoot those 2 free throws, and the team would also get the ball back, which I think would be a similar result on the high school and college level as well, correct? Yeah.
And one of the things that I'd like to talk about as it relates to this play, Greg, there's a couple of things here. The first thing is, just like the first clip we saw where the young man gets bumped by the irate coach on the floor, another great example of find the ball. Find the ball. Like, again, this kid, I've got you. Like, I already know what I'm going to do with you. So let me see what's going on with the ball. And what's going on with the ball here is Red's getting ready to shoot an open 3.
Yeah.
And so, especially when you're on a break, right? They're on a break. They're pushing the ball. Here comes a 3-point attempt. Okay? It's so counterintuitive to everything we are taught when we're early on, when we're new referees, or maybe not even new referees, just no one's ever told us this. So first thing is find the ball. Now it can't be I find the ball, there's a break, they pull the ball out, and now it's 18 seconds later. That's not what we're talking about. So if this guy, they're on a break and he ends up pulling the ball out, as soon as they pull the ball out where they're no longer, going to the basket, that's your time. Or that open 3, if it goes in, that's your time. Or that open 3 doesn't go in, as soon as someone gets the ball, that's your time. That's the first thing. The second part of this is I saw in the chat here, we ruled this incorrectly. This is a great time when we have something outside of the norm, where the crew needs to come together and have what we call clear and concise communication with one another. So if I am the new lead on this play, I don't even see what happens with this young man in the backcourt, right? But if we have clear and concise communication, and I say to my partner, Kane, Kane, what do you have on the play? And if Kane says, I saw him clearly step on this young man while he was on the ground. Now I can help with the rule.
Right.
I don't necessarily need to see the play, but now I can assist with what's the rules for this type of a play, right? To make sure we are protecting one another so that we're not misapplying a rule. You may not know what happened on a play, but you can certainly help with the rule application as long as a crew, we have clear and concise communication with one another.
Agree. And that's why it's just kind of disappointing on this play is the crew does come together and they do discuss it and they still come out with that ruling. This is a great chance for somebody on the crew, even that young official. Now, this is a section final playoff game, so not going to have young officials on this game most likely. But as that young official, it's like, here's what I can offer. This can't be a technical foul, right? By rule, it has to be something else.
And it just shows you the importance of getting in the rule book. I mean, it really sets you apart when you know the rules and you can apply it in real time. And the crew does a great job all the way up until that point where they just misapply the rule. They have a whistle on the play. They separate the teams. They get them to their benches. They discuss, but then there's a failure to apply the rule correctly, and it just takes away from a little bit from the the great job they were doing on that play, and I would be very disappointed in myself walking off that court and coming back to the locker room and opening up that rule book and realizing, we didn't do it right.
Yeah.
So
You only have to miss it once to realize you'll never do that again. I've been fined, and the rule that I got fined on, and you had to write that check. I'm not going to miss that rule ever again. I can guarantee you that. We always talk about little sayings and officiating to help one another. But like the first one with the tech, we said things don't happen out of a vacuum. Most people don't just run up to someone and push them. Like we didn't see the first bump by that kid, if you remember correctly, on that first clip. So this clip here, what we call this steal, re-steal. And what we mean by that is whenever an offensive player has the ball taken away from her or him, they usually become really forceful in trying to get that ball back. Right? They've been embarrassed in some way, or they want to show that, oh, listen, I can ball. And so this kid who just had the ball taken from him is really upset. So if the question in your mind is, that might have been accidental, steal, re-steal tells me, nah, he was probably really ticked off.
yeah,
We'll never know it. He's frustrated. Exactly, that's the word. Steal, re-steal. Whenever someone has the ball stolen from them, and the bigger the crowd, this is a big crowd, it's a playoff game, the more the embarrassment. And so now they become frustrated and they do more to try to get that ball back, usually towards the illegal aspect of what's allowed and what's not.
Yeah, retaliatory action, right?
Yes.
You stole the ball from me immediately, right? That player, just a moment of frustration, right? It boils over, or it's calculated.
Right.
I'm going to get back at you now.
Can we all agree that this is ejection worthy? That this player needs to be given a flagrant foul that leads to an ejection?
I agree completely. And one of the things about the play is that the trail official was in great position to see what happened, saw what happened, came up with a ruling, right? So talk about this, right? This is a huge playoff game, right? The winner of this game, I think, is a semifinal, plays in the section final, or not the section final, their half of the state, SoCal final. And in our big game, are we having any leniency to keep players in the game, et cetera? Do we want to bring that mindset in? Or it's just like, well, maybe we could do that in some instances. This is not a situation where that's the case. This was a flagrant act and has to be penalized.
Agreed. You have to apply the standards, and the standard here is clearly met. It's a egregious, unsportsmanlike act, and he should be ejected.
Let me tell you what would happen at the higher levels, certainly in the NBA, but even if you worked in the SEC or the ACC. We keep this young man or this young lady in the game, and we are 2 minutes to go before half. We still got another half to play. You're going to have chaos for the rest of that game if you keep them in there. There's going to be people coming in just to take shots at one another. It's going to be mayhem simply because you did not have the will to take care of business, to apply the standard, as Kane said. Our motto at our tagline for RefMasters is run the game. That's what we all get paid to do. Run the game. And you cannot be worried about being seen as the bad guy or whatever the case may be. You have to do the job. You have to apply the standards. That is courage. That is will. You cannot shy from the moment. Right? If we let that young man stay in the game without even seeing the rest of the game, I can guarantee you there were issues. It's just things were always popping up everywhere on the court because they're not going to just let that slide. And nor should you. If somebody steps on you, you're just think about just your own self, how you would take that. I'm going to get back at you. I'm not just going to let that slide.
I hear you. All right. I'm going to keep things moving, see if we can get a couple more plays in here. Let's look at our next play.
Center court line. And a blocking foul.
Lot going on here.
This Yankton team extremely just well conditioned.
Can we break down just some of the fundamentals here?
Please.
Let's pause. Let's pause right from the beginning. Okay.
Okay, give me just a second here. There we go.
Yep. Drag it back to right from the very beginning. So
yes.
See. Okay. Perfect. So right now, looks like we've crossed the midcourt line, and our what should be the slot is really, really high. You want to kind of hustle down into a dependable position. I'm going to assume there's maybe some backcourt pressure, and that's kind of why they're so high there.
Yeah.
And lead does a good job of recognizing that and rotates over to create our strong side, ball side. So if we can go back to the beginning now, let's watch what's the new trail. Pause. Okay. First of all, right now you have what should be the new slot just staying on the ball a little too long. Okay. So we're missing the rotation because we're ball watching here. Mm-hmm. And once we see that the slot is accepting that ball, so their yes. shoulders are turned, right? They've accepted the ball. We want to get our eyes off that and start to move down towards the new slot. And what we're going to do is we're going to do our checkpoints, like James said, work our progressions through that. So as they're moving to slot, let's move it a little bit forward, see if we get like some kind of screening action. We don't. So that slot can get off that play and now look into the paint. So they're going to sweep down and pick up the elbow to see what's the next play. Pause. Okay, so let's talk about trail real quick. Mm-hmm. Our job at trail, we want to stay sideline orientated. We don't want to be a participant in the game. We want to be on the sideline. And our job is to work up and down that sideline. There's only a few times that we want to come off the sideline. One is I like to call like a banana cut drive that comes out of the trail's face and ends up on the slot side block. So it's kind of a banana drive that goes on a curve from right to left here. It would be from the right side of the floor to the left side of the floor, and it ends up on that weak side block. We take a couple steps onto the floor to assist. Yeah, can you drag that down there?
This?
Yes, exactly. So we would like to step onto the court a couple feet in order to help, because once that play gets to the block, both slot and lead are going to be kind of in a stacked position on the point of contact, so we can assist from trail in that position.
That would be it. Like this.
Yes, perfect. Exactly.
Yep.
We're way too far onto the floor, right? There's no reason to come onto the court here. He's actually watching the ball again now on center side because of this, right? So stay sideline orientated, stay out of the game, don't get run over, don't hurt a player, don't hurt yourself. We want to be on the sideline. Okay, let it play.
All right, give me a sec. Hey now.
Stop. So because we're also onto the court, when this ball swings back, if that's a shooter right there and he rises up, can the trail see the jump shot? Can he see the defender from this position?
Yeah.
Right. He's going to be in a stack, or what we like to call a rod, which is referee offense, defense, and you're not going to be able to see the defender. You're not going to be able to see the front side of that jump shooter hitting the elbow. So if he's sideline, he sees this whole play. He's got a great angle. He can see it. Okay, move it forward. And pause. So the trail is just ball watching the entire play. So he watches the ball go over to the slot. He's watching the ball now go down to the lead's primary here, and he's not moving to the secondary defender here. Okay, let it play, and we'll pause on contact. Boom, stop. Another thing is the trail is having a primary whistle on what should be a secondary call for him, right? The play definitely needs a whistle. The block, I think he gets the play called correctly, but just mechanically, there's a lot of breakdown here. I'd like to move on to the lead, and the lead is really, really deep, really deep onto the court. We don't really want to work that deep on the floor because even though there's space, you may think like, all right, I'm getting a wider angle, but ideally you want to be only 1 or 2 feet off the end line, because what you end up doing is you're putting yourself behind the backboard here, and if you have a play up at the rim, you're no longer going to be able to see it. You're so far deep and behind the backboard. So right about the A would be a good spot for that lead, about halfway between the lane line and the sideline. I also think the lead here is missing, is not getting his head to that secondary defender once the primary defender gets beat. There's a lot to unfold in this play. So that's just all my quick glance on it. So.
Yeah, well, that's the bottom line. Is every time we are officiating action, especially if it occurs in maybe a more unique way than just simply running a set office in a certain fashion. It really exposes us and whether we are hitting those checkpoints that you described, right? My habits and fundamentals have weaknesses. They break down in certain situations. And of course, on this play, right, let's say I'm the trail and I agree that's a foul. That's your call. Right, let's work this system.
Oh, so lead, yes, okay. Lead does have a whistle. Oh, it makes it even worse. I see.
Yeah.
So he does have a call. Yeah, Trail's just gotta take a deep breath and kind of just get a little bit more composure out there. He's running around too much and not in proper position and not getting his eyes where he needs to be. So
it's not about you, Rick.
And if I could add, one of the first of all, I'm not adding anything to what Kane said because it was spot on. I was sitting here nodding my head with everything he said because we've been doing this for so long, and we were fortunate enough to have some really, really good teachers, and that's what helped accelerated our growth. So I don't know any of these men on this game, but what I would say if I were in a room with them, or the 60 of you who have joined us here. Officials have egos, to the detriment sometimes of our profession. Our egos get in the way. You have to, number one, be willing to look at this, right? Or whatever. We talked about as soon as quarterbacks or offenses come off the field in the NFL, they go right to the tablets. They're constantly learning. You have to, number one, be willing to learn. And number two, you have to be receptive to where I need to improve. You can't watch this film and say, oh, see, I got it right. Great, let's keep it moving. You got it right by default. You really did. There is so much mechanically wrong here in this one clip that unless someone tells you this, number one, you won't know. But if someone is telling you, please listen to what they're telling you. You just had Kane Fitzgerald, who is a finals referee, just had a great career before he went into management role, but he knows refereeing. And it can't be, here in our association we do. I tell people all the time, a great analogy is like I'm a 30 handicap in golf. I suck, but I love golf. I really do. And if I was ever so fortunate to have Tiger Woods come and watch me golf and say, James, let me help you with how to chip. I wouldn't tell Tiger, Tiger, I think I got this, man. I appreciate that, but I got it. I'm going to do it my way. And that is what you get all the time from officials. Their ego simply won't allow them to intake new information. that's going to help them. It's like, I've been doing it like this for 25 years. Doesn't mean it's right. And so what we're trying to do is compassionately with, just honest, but be compassionate. We're not trying to rip anyone to shreds here, but we are here to serve the game. It is not to serve our egos. And if I, as an official, can get better where I serve the game better, then man, give me all the information, because that's what I want to do. And so many times, and so kudos to you folks who are on this 5-Play Friday, because that means you have a desire to get better, to learn, to talk shop. But it can't be, yeah, but here, yeah, but we've always done it. It defeats the purpose. And so that's all I wanted to say, because there is so much on this one play from all three positions to help us get better. And then if you can really absorb that information and start to apply it in your next game and the game after that, you're getting incrementally better as a referee. And that's what it's all about.
Well said. Awesome.
Yeah, really good.
So one thing I'll say in defense of high school officials is, now this may not be the case in South Dakota where this is, but in some locations, we're doing 2-person tonight, tomorrow night, then we're doing 3-person, then we're doing 2-person. So I have a couple of things. First of all, on this, so in 2-person, right, when our habits and fundamentals are geared there, we are going to work more out onto the court, and our coverage areas are going to be different. And so you see some officials have difficulty making the move to 3-person, on a nightly basis. But I have a question. James, when COVID was so much more of a factor, did you work any games 2-person? I know there were some games that were officiated 2-person.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, so number one, the staff for the NBA is very young at this point. We just had our camp 2 weeks ago, I think it was, in New York. But we just had a conference call as a staff Wednesday or Tuesday, I believe, Wednesday or Tuesday, because preseason has now started for us. And our boss it's a big pet peeve of his, because the staff is so young and most of them have never worked 2-person. And so when someone goes down or someone was sick with COVID and we're going with 2, there were too many people that didn't know it. And they were out there, winging it, so to speak. And, at our level, we hold ourselves to the highest standard. And for our boss, it absolutely infuriated him that we were out there on a professional court and we weren't working the 2-person system properly. He hit that message home on Wednesday, 2 days ago. If you don't know it, get in the book. And so I will push back a little bit, because I see this is probably their first time working together since it's a playoff game. Maybe they go from 2 to 3. Those for me are excuses. What those are excuses. We talked about Kane and I when we were coming up together. There were times in our career where we were doing college, JUCO, Division II, Division I. We were doing the D League, and we were doing the WNBA.
I don't know how you do it.
So we could not come to the WNBA supervisor and say, I don't know the rules because I got 2 other leagues that I got to learn the rules. It's what you sign up for. If you're working 2-person one night, you should know the mechanics for 2-person. If the next night you're working 3, you should know the mechanics for 3. That's just what you sign up for. And it's that kind of candor. We can't just say, well, this is my first time working with this guy or this lady. Okay, great. So maybe even more time in the pregame in that locker room to discuss the mechanics, the system, how we're going to work this game tonight. I can't do with excuses. These games matter to these young folks. They matter to folks. They're important. hold yourself to a higher standard where you don't give yourself that easy out.
Greg, you see why I made it so far? James wouldn't let me take a break.
Hey, crew coverage, right? Absolutely. There was a Warrior game that they called up a young official from the G League, and I believe it was her first NBA game, and then one of the officials on the game was out with COVID, and so her first NBA game was two-person, and it was a game with a crazy end of the game scenario, and the mindset that it must have taken. Oh yeah, hey, this is your first game, and oh yeah, we're doing two-person. No
that's
pressure.
Greg. That's called being thrown into the really, really deep end. You're gonna sink or you're gonna swim. Good luck. But everybody thinks they want that until they actually get it. Those are some really tough circumstances there. But yeah, COVID was we all had to adjust because you didn't know if that test that you took in the morning was going to come back positive or not, and you were out.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2-person, 3. But again, you have to know them. Literally spend 15, 30 minutes a day looking at the manual, looking at some rules. This is not where you have to spend 8 hours a day doing something. But if you do the repetition, if you're constantly in those books 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, you'll be amazed at how you retain this information so that when the lights are on and you have to be able to rattle this stuff off instantly, you'll be ready because you were prepared. You did the work before you got to the arena. If you're only doing the work when you get to the arena, it's way too late. Now you're in a hope mode. You hope nothing goes wrong. You hope a situation doesn't happen where you don't know the rule because it's been 2 months since you opened your books. I never want to work with people who are hope referees because it's clear that they haven't done the work and they're not prepared for what we get paid to do. So don't be a hope official. Be an official who is prepared, who is ready. And when that moment presents itself, you rise and you meet that moment.
Awesome. Those are great words. Gentlemen, I thank you for joining today. I am going to wrap things up and let you go. I really appreciate you. RefMasters seems like a fantastic platform. Can you just give us, do you have anything like events coming up on the RefMasters platform, a seminar or anything?
Yeah, thanks for asking. We have a session October 17th. It's available. You can go to our website. You can sign up on Eventbrite. It's about how to watch film, open versus closed looks, when to be disciplined, when to be decisive. So we're going to break down some film and talk about, how to be a disciplined official and how to minimize guessing on the floor. So that's coming up on October 17th. We're really excited about that. We just launched the RefMasters store. We call it the Refs Locker. The refslocker.com, refs with an S on the end, where you can get just regular, casual wear apparel, or if you need stuff for the season as we get to that time of the year, people are starting to gear up for the basketball season. Please check out the store, the refslocker.com. We're really excited about that. We do put out the Substack every month with information about what we're doing. We're always posting content in the app RefMasters, so feel free to get in. Feel free to post if you have questions. It's all about engaging one another. We've got a lot going on. There's more coming. Like I said, we're really excited about what we're building. The feedback has been phenomenal because we know that people don't have really just a consistent place where they can go and get the training that they really want, and we hope we can fill that void. So we would appreciate the support. We really do. We thank you for the time this morning, Greg. It's been awesome. Thank you all. The feedback, the interaction. You guys have been great. Thanks for having us. Look forward to being back on a 5-Play Friday sometime real soon.
Awesome. Well, I could for the officiating community, I can thank you profusely for giving back. Right? For stepping out of your roles at very high levels and say, hey, for younger officials, this is what we need to do to grow the game, improve, and be better officials.
That's it.
All right, I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Greg.